Welcome to Ezekiel Academy YouTube channel. In this lecture, I want to examine unbalanced transportation problems using least cost method and Vogel's approximation method. If you are coming across my lecture for the first time, please like the video and also share it with others. If you are a returning subscriber, I say thank you for being part of this channel. So this is the extension or the continuation of my earlier videos on the topic. I've told you unbalanced transportation problem is the type of problem in which the number of demands is not equal to supply, or supply and demand are not equal. Demand may be greater than the supply, or supply may be greater than demands. So where the demands are not equal the supply, that problem is said to be unbalanced. So how do you solve problems involving unbalanced transportation problem? The first thing is to introduce dummy activity steps. Introduce dummy activity. So it depends on how the problem is structured. Where the supply is greater than demand, that means dummy will be introduced vertically. You introduce a dummy in order to make it balance. Let us say you have A, B. You have your supply here, and then you have X and Y. If this is 1,000 and this is 2,000 and this is 1,500 and this is 2,000. So in this case, the total of this is 3,500, while the sum of this is 3,000. The demand is greater than supply here. Where demand is greater than supply, your dummy will be introduced horizontally. You introduce your dummy horizontally because you want to balance it. You want to make your supply here, you want to increase it to 3,500. So you will introduce your dummy here, dummy of 500. Then you represent that dummy by zero cost. So dummy, that means the cost of dummy is always zero. So you have it here. That is where demand is greater than supply. You introduce your dummy horizontally. But where supply is greater than demand, you introduce your dummy vertically. That is the first step. Then after introducing dummy, then you now solve the problem using the method specified. All this have been explained in my earlier videos. I've given you the steps or the procedures for solving unbalanced transportation problems in my earlier video. So you will still need to follow the same procedures. Now I want to take questions as work example using least cost method and Vogel's approximation method. Please keep watching. You will understand it better with the examples I'm about to solve now. Example. The table below shows details of availability at 4 depots, W, X, Y, and Z, and requirements from 4 destinations, A, B, C, and D. Respective transportation costs in Naira are as shown at the top left-hand corner of each cell. We have destination depot, A, B, C, D. Then we have available supplies. W, 6, 5, 4, 3, 5,000. X, 4, 3, 5, 7, 3,500. Y, 3, 6, 7, 2, and 4,500. Z, 5, 7, 4, 4, and 4,000. Demands 3,000, 2,500, 4,500, 4,000. Use the least cost method and Vogel's approximation method to solve the transportation problem and calculate the total transportation cost in each case. Now let's have the solution to the question. Whenever you are given a problem involving transportation, the first step is to ascertain whether the problem is a balanced transportation problem or an unbalanced transportation problem. How do you do that? Sum up the demand. So 3,000 plus 25, that will be 5,500 plus 4,500 plus 4,000. Demand is totaled 14,000. Our total demand is 14,000. What is the total supply? 5,000 plus 3, 5, that is 8, 5, plus 4, 5, plus 4,000. So the supply is 17,000. Demand is 14,000. Supply is 17,000. This is 14,000. Why this is 17,000? You can see that the supply is greater than demand. So since the problem is unbalanced, the first step is to ensure it is balanced. How do you make the problem balanced? So to make the problem balanced, you have to introduce the dummy activity. You have to introduce dummy with zero cost. That means we want to make it balanced now. You need extra 3,000 in the demand. You need extra 3,000 as demand to equate this 14,000 to 17,000. But to do that, the cost of dummy, you have to make the dummy cost. You know, all these are costs. You have to make that of the dummy, the extra one you introduce, to make the cost to be zero. The dummy cost should be zero. Then the quantity to be added will now be 3,000 to make it 17,000. The new table will appear just. We have the depot or destination. We have A, B, C, D, then we have dummy. Our dummy. So why am I adding dummy here? Because I want to have extra 3,000 here. So if I add 3,000 here to make this row equal to 17,000, then you will now introduce your dummy like this. But if this is greater, that means your dummy will be added horizontally. So we have supply, available supply. So you have W, X, Y, and Z. The cost of transportation, we have 6,543. 6, 5, 4, 3. 6, 5, 4, 3. Then we have 5,000 as the supply. Then we have 4, 3, 5, 7. 4, 3, 5, 7. Then we also have the supply is 3,500. Then for Y, we have 3, 6, 7, 2. 3, 6, 7, 2. Then the supply is 4,500. Then for Z, we have 5,744. 5, 7, 4, 4. So the supply is 4,000. Then demand, we have 3,000, 2,500, 4,500, 4,000. 3,000, 2,500. Then we have 4,500. Then we equally have 4,000. You know, this is total 14,000 and this is 17,000. You want this one to be 17,000. That means we need to add 3,000 here. So if you have 2,500 plus 3,000 plus 2,500, that is 5,500. 5,500 plus 4,500 plus 4,000 plus 3,000. So you now have 17,000 as the total. If you also add the supply, so we have 5,000 plus 3,500, that is 8,500 plus 4,500 plus 4,000, that is total 17,000. Therefore, it is balanced now. So you have 17,000 as the total. Then the dummy cost, the cost of the dummy, you make it 0. Everything has to be 0. The cost of dummy should be 0. 0. Now you can solve the transportation problem since it is balanced. You are to solve the transportation problem using the least cost method and Vogel's approximation method. So we want to start with the least cost method now. Least cost method. Now, I have told you, if you have watched my earlier video, that when using the least cost method, the least cost, that is the smallest cost, is always the focus of allocation. So since dummy was introduced to make a balance, dummy should not be counted as part of our least cost. Now, let's look at all the costs given in this question. 6, 4, 3, 5, 5, 3, 6, 7, 4, 5, 7, 4, 3, 7, 2, 4, then dummies. The least of all those costs is 2. That means the starting point should be 2. So since 2 is the least cost, so you should start from there. So you want to allocate to 2. But if you look at this row, you have 4,500. And what you have in this column is 4,000. That means the maximum allocation that can be made to anything that falls within this column must be 4,000. So you allocate 4,000 to 2. That means you have exhausted what you have here. If you minus 4,000, so you will be left with 0. So you have exhausted that. Then this row, since you have 4,500 there, and you have allocated 4,000 to that row, so you'll be left with 500 in this row. So you still have 500 left for further allocation. So that is the first allocation. Then after 2, the next least cost is 3. And we have 3 in more than one places. 3 is here, 3 is here, 3 is here. But remember, no further allocation can be made to this column since you have exhausted what you have in this column. No allocation can be made to this 3 again since you already have 4,000 within the column where you have that 3. So that means The three that you have to compare now, the one to choose from are this and this. So how do you decide which one to consider from that two? You consider the one that we have saw the maximum allocation first. Which one will take the maximum allocation? If you want to allocate here, if you want to allocate this here, so you are left with only 500 for further allocation here. Since you are left with 500 in this row, it means it's only 500 that can be allocated to this three. But if you want to allocate to this, you have 3,500 in this row, and you have 2,500 in this column. These three, we have sought greater allocation than this. So your allocation should be made to this. So 2,500. So if you allocate 2,500 here, you've exhausted this 2,500. If 2,500 goes out of 3,500, then you'll be left with 1,000. That is the next one. After this three, then the next one, you still have another three. Now, you can consider these three now. How many units can you allocate here? You have 500 here, you have 3,000. So that means it's only 500 you can allocate here. If you give 500 to this, then you've exhausted what you have here, then you'll be left with 0. Then if 500 goes out of 3,000 here, you'll be left with 2,500. 2,500. You still have 2,500 for further allocation here. Then the next least cost, we have 4 here, you have 4 here, you have 4 here, you have 4 here. Remember, this one will not be counted since you have exhausted what you have in this column. You can't make further allocation to this 4. You've exhausted what you have in that column. So the 4 to consider now should be this, this, and this. Now, which one we can take maximum allocation? If you want to allocate to this 4, since it is 1,000 you have in this row, that means this one can only receive 1,000. And if you want to consider this 4, you have 4,000 in this row. This one can take 4,000. And this one 4, 5. That means you can still allocate 4,000 to this. If you want to consider this 4, you have 5,000 in this row, 4, 5 here. This one can take 4, 5. So this one can take the maximum allocation. So this have to be considered first. 4,500. If 4,500 goes out of there, you'll be left with 0. Then 4, 5 goes out of this, you'll be left with 500. So that is for that. Then the next 4, we still have 4 here. I've told you can't allocate here since you've exhausted what you have there. Then, if you consider this, you have exhausted what you have here. You are left with 0. You can't make any further allocation to this 4. Then, you still have 4 here. Now, let's consider this 4. Remember, here you have 1,000. Here you have 2,500. So, you can only give 1,000 to this. So, now let's have 1,000 here. Then this one you'll be left with 1,500. Then this 1,000 has been assigned. Then you'll be left with 0. Then after 4, since all the 4s we have been considered, then what is the next least cost? The next least cost we have 5 here, 5 here, but you can't allocate to this 5 since you have exhausted what you have here. You've exhausted what you have in this column. No further allocation can be made to this 5. Now, this 5, you can allocate here. You know you have 1,500 here. Then here you still have 4,000. So that means we can give the 1,500 to this. Then this will be left with 0. If 1,500 goes out of 4,000, you'll be left with 2,500. Now, we've done with this column, no further allocation to this column, no further allocation, no further allocation. That means the only thing that we have not assigned or allocated anything to is the dummy. So you have 500 left in this row, you can only give that 500 to dummy. Then you have nothing is left here, nothing is left here. Here you are left with 2,500. So you can give that 2,500 to dummy. So this one, when you give it here, is 0. When you give this to dummy, is 0. So that means, 500, when you give 500 initially to this place, you'll be left with 25. When you now give that 25 to the dummy, then it becomes 0. That means you have exhausted everything. You've done with everything. You finished up with the allocation. Then you are also asked to calculate the cost, the possible cost. So we want to determine the least cost now, cost of transportation. Cost of transportation. The rule WC, you have 4 times 4,500. 4 times 4,500 plus 0 W dummy. That is 0 times 500 plus XA. 4 times 1,000 plus XB XB is 3 times 2,500 plus then we have YA, which is 3 times 500. 3 times 500 plus YD. That is 2 times 4,000 plus then we also have ZA, which is 5 times 1,500 plus Z dummy, which is 0 times 2,500. So that will give us 4 times 4,500. We have 18,000 plus 0 times dummy is 0 plus 4 times 1,000, that is 4,000 plus 3 times 2,500, that is 75 plus 3 times 500, that is 15 plus 2 times 4,000, that is 8,000 plus 5 times 15, that is 75 plus 0 times 25, that is 0. Now let's sum up all the costs. 18,000 plus 4,000 plus 75 plus 15 plus 8,000 plus 75. Then you have 46,500. 46,500. Using the least cost method, the cost of transportation is 46,500. Using Vogel's approximation method, method. I've told you the first step is to make the problem balanced by introducing dummy. The same thing we've done when we use the least cost method will be done. So that is why I just lifted the table from our solution under the least cost. So now you want to make your allocation. I've told you the Vogel's method can also be called penalty method. That is why you will need to have a penalty table. Penalties table. So you have for columns, then you equally have for rows. We have 4 columns. Columns is vertical like this. Well, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. A, B, A, B, C, D. That is columns. Then the rows. Rows is horizontal. W, X, Y, Z. Z, Y, X, W. Then you have the iteration. Iterations. What will be the first iteration first? So this is rows. So the first row is row W. You look for the least cost, ignoring dummy. The least cost is 3. And the next least cost to that is 4. Therefore, 4 minus 3, that will be 1. The second, we have row X. The least cost in that row is 3 as well. The next least cost to that is 4. So we have 4 minus 3, that will be 1. Row Y, the least cost is 2. The next least cost is 3. 3 minus 2, that will be 1. Then we have row Z. The least cost is 4. Since 4 is repeated, you don't need to count 4 as the next least cost. 4 once is chosen, then the next to it is 5. 5 minus 4, that will be 1. That is for the rows. Then for columns, vertically, look at column A. The least cost is 3. The next least cost is 4. 4 minus 3, that will be 1. Then column B. The least is 3. The next least cost is 5. 5 minus 3, that will be 2. 5 minus 3 is 2. Then column C. The least cost is 4. Since you have 4, you don't need to count 4 as the next. The next to 4 is 5. 5 minus 4, that will be 1. Then for D, the least cost is 2, and the next least cost is 3. 3 minus 2, that will be 1. Then of all these least cost difference in least cost, the highest is 2. So which is column B? Columns, under columns, column B. Then you now look for the least cost in column B and allocate maximum value that column can take. You allocate it to the least cost in that column. Now that is column B. The column B is this. What is the least cost in this column? Is 3. So since 3 is the least cost in this column, how much is the maximum allocation you can make to this column? To 3. You have 3, 5 here. You have 2, 5. That means this column cannot take more than 2,500. Then this 2, 5 is exhausted. Then you'll be left with 0. If 2, 5 goes out of 3, 5, 3, 5 minus 2, 5, you'll be left with 1, thousand. Please take note of that. Then we have the second iteration, the second one. The first row is row W. We still have allocation there to make. The least cost in that row is 3. The next least cost is 4. 4 minus 3, that is 1. Then row X. The least cost in row X, you have allocated here. The least cost is 4. The next least cost in that row is 5. 5 minus 4, that is 1. Then row Y. The least cost is 2. The next least cost is 3. 3 minus 2, that is 1. Then row Z. The least cost is 4. The next least cost is 5. 5 minus 4, that will be 1. Then we have columns. Column A. The least cost in this column is 3. The next least cost is 4. 4 minus 3, that is 1. Column B. You've exhausted what you have in column B. Everything they have finished. No further allocation can be made to that column. So you can just put asterisk. Column C. Column C. The least cost is 4. The next least cost is 5. 5 minus 4, that is 1. Then column D. The least cost is 2. The next least cost is 3. So 3 minus 2, that is 1. The highest penalty is 1. All true. So what you should do at this point is to make allocation to any least cost you have in the entire table. Now the least cost in the entire table is 2. So you make your allocation to these 2. So you have 4,500 in the row, 4,000 in the column. That means what you can give here is 4,000. So you have 4,000. Then 4,000 goes out of this, you'll be left with 500. 4,000 from 4,000, then that is 0. That is the second iteration. Then we have the third iteration, the third one, which is row W. The row W, the least cost is 3, but you can't use this 3 since you have exhausted what you have in the column of that 3. So you can't use this 3 again since everything in this column have finished. So you can't consider this 3 as the least cost. Now let's look at this 4. You still have quantity here. So 4. Then you cannot take 5 as the next least cost since you have exhausted what you have in the column of 5. So that means you compare 4 and 6. 6 minus 4, that will be 2. Then we have row X. Then we have the least cost to be 5. The next least, to be 4 here. The next least cost is 5. 5 minus 4, that is 1. Then row Y. The least cost is 3. The next, you can't count this 6 since allocation have been made here. You have exhausted what you have in this column. Then you can't count this one because allocation have been made there. So you have 7. 7 minus 3, that will be 4. So we have 4 as our penalty. Then row Z. We have the least cost to be 4 here. You can't count this one since you finish what you have here. So we have 4. Then the next, we have 5. 5 minus 4, that is 1. Then the next, we have columns. In this column A, you have the least cost. We have 3. The next least cost is 4. 4 minus 3, that is 1. Then column B. So you've exhausted what you have in column B. You can just asterisk that. Then column C, the least cost we have 4. Then the next, you can't repeat 4 again. The next one is 5. 5 minus 4, that is 1. Then column D, the least cost. You've exhausted what you have in column D. So no further allocation can be made to column D. So can just put asterisk. Now, the highest penalty is 4, which is row Y. Row Y. This is row Y. So this is row Y. Then what is the least cost you have in row Y that you have not allocated to? The least cost, this have received 4,000, then we have 3. So that means since you are left with 500 in this row, it means it is only 500 you have available to give to these 3. Then that finish the 500 you have here, you'll be left with 0. 500 goes out of 3,000, you'll be having 2,500. Fourth iteration. So row W, you still have quantity there to allocate. So the least cost in row W, you can't use these 3 because you've exhausted what you have in that column. Then you still have quantity here. So 4. And then you finish this one. Then you have 6 because you still have quantity here. 6 minus 4, that is 2. Then row X, you can't consider anything here in the same line with X. Since we've exhausted this, you can't consider anything here. So you still have here 5. The least is 4, since you still have quantity here. The next one is 5. 5 minus 4, that is 1. Then for row Y, so you have 6. You can't use 6. Since you've exhausted what you have there. In fact, for Y, you finish what you have in that row. So no further allocation can be made there. Just put asterisk. For Z now, you still have quantity there. So the least is 4. Then the next least is 5. 5 minus 4, that will be 1. You've done with row Z. After row Z, we have columns. Column A. A is vertical. So the least is 4. Then the next least is 5. 5 minus 4, that will be 1. For column B, you've exhausted what you have in that column. No further allocation can be made there. So let's just put asterisk. For column C, so we have the least to be 4. Then the next least is 5. 5 minus 4, that gives us 1. For column D, the least, you've exhausted what you have there. No further allocation can be made to that column. So we put asterisk. The highest penalty is 2, which is row W. You make maximum allocation to the least cost in row W. In row W, the least cost. No further allocation here. You have here. The least cost is 4. And you have 5,000 here and 5 here. So you can only give 4,500 here. If 4,500 goes out of 5,000, you'll be left with 500. If 4,500 goes out of 4,500, you'll be left with 0. So that is for that. Now, what are you left with? You still have 2,500 in this row. What is the least cost there? The least cost is 5. The least cost is supposed to be 4. Yes, it's 4. That means you can give the 1,000 to this 4. So we have 1,000. Since you are left with 1,000 in that row, so you will be left with 0. Then if 1,000 goes out of 25, you'll be left with 1,500. Then the next least cost is 5. So, and you still have 4,000 in that row. So you can give the 1,500 to this. If 1,500 goes out of 1,500, then you'll be left with 0. 1,500 goes out of 4,000, then you'll be left with 2,500. You've exhausted what you have in this column. Then what you have in this column have finished. Then this one too have finished. This column too have finished. Then you are left with dummy. Then if you give 500 here, 500 from 500 is 0. 500 goes out of 3,000, then you'll be left with 2,500. Then nothing is here, nothing is here. Then you have 2,500 here. That means you give the 2,500 to the dummy here. If it goes out of 25, then you'll be left with 0, 25 from 25, 0. These are the possible allocations or allocation you have to make. Cost of transportation using Vogel method, Vogel's approximation method. So you have WC, and we have 4 times 4, 5. 4 times 4,500 plus, after WC, you have W dummy. That is 0 times 500 plus you have XA, which is 4 times 1,000 plus XB, which is 3 times 2,500 plus, then we have YA. And YA is 3 times 500 plus YD, which is 2 times 4,000. 2 times 4,000 plus ZA, which is 5 times 1,500. After ZA, you have Z dummy. Z dummy. 0 times 2,500. So let's sum up everything. We have 4 times 4,500. That gives us 18,000. Plus 0 times 500 is 0. Plus 4 times 1,000, 4,000. Plus 3 times 2,500. That is 7,500. Plus 3 times 500, that is 1,500. Plus 2 times 4,000, that is 8,000. Plus 5 times 1,500, that is 7,500. Plus 0 times 2,500, that is 0. Now let's sum up everything. 18,000 plus 0 plus 4,000 plus 7,500 plus 15 plus 8,000 plus 7,500. So we have 46,500. So the cost of transportation using the Vogel approximation method is 46,500. This marks the end of the solution to the question. Please drop the love emoji, like the video, and also share it with others. Thanks for watching Lazy Camp.